Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. And we're back. No. What were we
Live
talking?
at Claffy's place.
What were we talking about? Yeah, live at I knew you were gonna say that,
bro. I've been at Smalls and I've just been like every week.
Welcome to Russell's place.
No, I'll straight up say my name is Emmett Cohen. Welcome to Live at Emmett's place at Smalls, and I'll like announce the band. Like I'll be like Wynton Marsalis on trumpet, and it'll be like Ben Seacrest on trumpet. I'll be like Herbie Hancock on piano.
So you're doing like full troll mode.
Not even. It's just like, you know, it's just like people love that shit, man. People want to like laugh as much as they want to rage. So like
that's very true.
You know, it's more just like the thing that I notice is like in our time now, there's like this like universal concept of love, and I think part of that is like the humor and like, you know, us pulling each other's legs and shit all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that, especially, oh my God, Benny is the worst.
I know, right?
Like, Benny will show up to a gig and he just like, if you're like, you could be having the most serious day, and we're all like,
you're dark on New York or whatever.
Like, or not even dark. You're just like, I'm a serious musician and I practice 8 hours a day and this, I'm studying this Scriabin score and this blah, 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 blah. And Benny will just come there and just like stick his finger in your ear and you just like forgot whatever you were thinking about.
Right. It's kind of the best actually with the seriousness of the music.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like all the cats are like, I mean, Elvin Jones, bro, like, that's the most. Who's harder than Elvin Jones?
Yeah.
Who is harder than that? But
look,
I feel like he's the funny. Yeah, I mean, straight up.
Yeah.
Like who is going harder than that? And I feel like he would just be making the same nasty, dirty jokes that we all fucking make.
Right. Yeah. But you gotta have some kind of humor going with it. You learn to really appreciate people like Benny day to day because you're going through all this bullshit of living in New York.
And it's so expensive now, man.
Would you move here and try and start now? Like,
fuck no, man. I would stayed my ass in Miami. Got myself a nice crib in the jungle. Be eating fruits and berries.
You can kind of be in the jungle and be in Miami at the same time. Like Jay's place.
Yeah.
It's like in a little
Rain Rowata, bro. When I was growing up in Miami, Rain Rowata had this house, and it literally was just like a pagan fairy tale or something. Like had a pool and like I remember one morning. Because him and his sister both went to New World School of the Arts.
Yeah.
And we were there, and I think Tony Madruga was sleeping on top of Tom Dover, and Tom Dover's legs were on, like, David Leon's head. Yeah. And then there were, like, 6, 17-year-old girls just in the other room, just, like, sleeping in a witch coven circle. And, like, it's just crazy. And then the dog
Sounds
is just
like
drooling
LA
on
in
my head. Yeah.
Is your phone on airplane mode, by the way? Okay, cool. Because that has gotten us before. Last week we had Jeff McGregor is going to kind of be like a regular cat on.
Oh, cool.
And then like we had Nick Hampton, who was great and very funny.
Nick.
Wolf's coming on.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I just talked to Wolf, man.
Yeah.
Talk about a Jedi, man. That dude is literally Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He's amazing. It's amazing that we both got to study with him.
Yeah, and it's deep. The people that have gotten close to him, because he never made a mission to be like a famous musician, like even though he is in his own right.
He's super well known.
Yeah, he's super well known and respected. But his thing was like you think about how stripped down and naked his essence is.
Yeah,
like, he's playing gut strings, no pickup, refuses to put the pickup on the bass, like has like the most unique technique I've ever seen. Doesn't use any second finger.
Yeah,
it's all just recoil from his first finger. And it's like, holy... And then on top of that, he lives super minimally. Like, I don't even think he has food in his fridge. Like, he just has coffee. Yeah, he told me. He's like, man, I don't eat, man. I just drink coffee. I was like...
And he works out, too. He's super in shape.
I think he lost like 50 pounds. Man.
Yeah. Like, but he just, like, he's at the piano and he's, like, taking all the things you are through every possible... permutation or any tune,
yeah.
And then like informs his bass playing with that. And talk about sound. Just like when you stand next to him, it's like the bass sound is.
No, beyond the sound, it's just like the whole feeling. I have the best Ben Wolf story though, because honestly, I must say it must be said and it must be documented. When I was like 15, and we're all like checking out the cats, like whether it's Revis or whoever, and I would check out Ben Wolf, and I'll be like, man, this dude is killing, man. But truth be told, I thought he was just a light-skinned black dude for like years, for the time that I was before I met him when I was 16. I was checking him out, learning how to play like him, like bought gut strings, put it on my bass, was going crazy about this shit.
Yeah.
And then, bro, I get to Centrum Jazz Camp out in Port Townsend, like about an hour north of Seattle. And, I know Ben is going to be there. And me and him have been talking on Facebook all the time at this point. And then he starts walking closer to me in this room. I remember it like it was yesterday. He starts walking closer. He walks closer. I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, wait. Oh, shit, you're white. God damn. I had no idea you were white, bro. Like, that's crazy. And then from there, me and him have been, like, so kin. Like, because I was like, and then that's, like, I think for many years, he was even saved in my phone as AB for Almost Black. Because he used to call me YK for Young Kobe because, when I first moved to New York, like I was just trying to play as fast as possible, as hard as possible, like all the time.
You also were like the phenom like Kobe. Dude, your first weekend in New York, you played Rose Hall with Josh Redman and Ollie Jackson, right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Dude,
that was the
you're
first
the only bass player that I've known that moved to New York that had a buzz going about them for a solid 6 months before you got here.
Man, it's so weird now too, because New York isn't like that anymore. You know what I mean? Because like truth be man, right before I moved to New York, I remember like hearing about you and hearing about like Coleman
Chris Smith,
Bernice. Oh man, the list.
Luquez was around.
He's
still around, but
Joe Sanders was still living in New York.
Joe Sanders was very present on the.
Bro, Joe Sanders, we got to talk about Joe Sanders, man. Because to this day, Joe Sanders will come for that ass. I don't care which bass player you are in this galaxy. Joe Sanders will tear your ass apart. I still think, why I just call him the GOAT. He's literally, he's just the GOAT, man. And he used to come after my ass, bro.
Yeah.
Actually, first time I met him was at Port Townsend too. And Joe took me in this lesson, bro. I never felt so bad about my bass playing ever. Still to this day. And I studied with Ron Carter, just like you and like most of us. Bro, Joe tore my ass open. Wow. Like a box of candy. Like just tore that shit up, smacked me around.
What was he getting on you about?
Oh, everything.
What were you, like 16?
I was 17. And the first thing he got on me was like note length. He's like, man, and Joe talks in that real like matter of fact voice. He's like, man, why are all your notes short? You have no sustain at all.
Yeah.
You can get away with flair for like maybe 2 songs, but you'll never be able to survive out here if you're gonna play all your notes short. And I was like, damn, man. This is crazy. And then you move to New York, and then you're playing trad gigs, and they're like, "Why are your notes so long?"
Right? I get that all the time.
But then, like something I always appreciated about Joe is that me and him never really got close. Because usually it was a thing where like bass players, like if they were helping me, like Ben or Ron, like I got really close to them. But Joe was like, "This is what you're doing, fucked up. Goodbye."
Yeah, right.
And that tough love, man, it changed the whole way I hear music, everything. To this day, I still thank Joe Sanders.
Yeah,
man.
he helped.
I even got a tattoo of a mandrel because he kind of looks like a mandrel. I got a tattoo right there so that whenever I'm,
when you're looking at your left
hand.
Yeah,
whenever I'm like overplaying, I look down and it's just Joe there just looking at me like, stop playing with your dick, man. Why are you playing with your dick, bro?
And he also, same thing for me. Like, I remember he took me once, we were hanging out at Smalls, and he was like, voice leading, like, your lines are really cut up. You don't have any voice leading. You need to listen to Ron Carter on ABC and Sam Jones on da-da-da, and he was very clear about it. And same thing, like, tough love, cool, but, like, we're not really going to get that close. And I'm very serious about what I'm telling you. I really want you to take it seriously. And it helped me so much.
I mean, even things that didn't have to do with my playing per se.
Yeah.
Like, I remember there was one day, it was a jam. And you know, Joe was also wild too. Like Joe would get blasted and like sit down on the drums and like start obliterating drums at 3 a.m. at Smalls while I'm like just like watching him obliterate drums while I'm playing bass and shit, and I'm like cracking my ass.
But that
up.
whole generation of bass players is a little bit they're like 10 years old. You're 3 years younger than me. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 30. I'm 29.
Oh, you're 29. You're 2 years younger.
Yeah,
than me.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm 94.
I'm 30. Yeah, I'm 92.
92.
So
yeah.
like the guys that were 10 years older than us playing at like the old gallery.
Woo! Yo, that's the other thing we need to talk about too, because the old gallery, bro,
So many-
was like a temple. It was
so
so
much different kinds of shit too.
Yeah. I
You'd
mean,
have,
you
like,
could literally
Revis
see
playing with-
Roy playing with Robert Glasper, or you could see like Tim Byrne solo saxophone. Like it could literally be any Henry Threadgill, whoever.
Right. And then it would be like, you know, like see Revis and Oren, and then you'd see like Tyshawn's band, and then it would be like Antonio Sanchez Migration or something. Just like crazy stuff. I remember seeing
Casey Benjamin.
I think Chris was playing with Casey Benjamin there.
Chris Smith?
Yeah.
Oh,
and the
good.
gallery now has great stuff. I know tonight it's Larry Grenadier and Brian Blade.
At the gallery?
Yeah, with Sam Hale.
Yo.
Well, what about your tats? You should talk. You got some real jazz tats.
Oh, well, I'm getting more.
Only you and Whitfield Jr. are the only guys who I know who have like real jazz tats.
Somebody I know has Coltrane. Oh, my boy Ben Stocker from Snack Time.
Oh,
the
yeah,
tenor
yeah.
player. He has Coltrane from
So that's
Monk and Coltrane at Carnegie.
That's the monk from Monk.
Yeah, yeah.
So you guys should stand next to each
Yeah,
other.
yeah. I think we took a picture like that one time.
And what's on the back? It's not Thundercat, is it on the back?
oh, this? No,
no,
this is like a yin yang.
Oh, yin yang.
With like a orca. Yeah, I'm catching Joe. I don't think I'll ever catch Joe Perry. Just for the record, Joe Perry.
No, yeah,
is
Joe
the
Perry's
most-
got the sleeves.
That's why I have him saved in my my phone as Yakuza Joe. Cause you can't see it until he takes his
Yeah,
like
you
shirt,
see Joe-
unless he's wearing a short sleeve
There's a
shirt.
video of us playing with Steve Davis at Chris's, and it looks like it looks like Vernel Fournier. Like he's got a little light mustache and his hair's like this.
Yeah.
And like, but then if you took the sleeves off, it's just
Yeah,
like,
it's just like an old sailor from the 50s or some shit, bro. I mean,
this is a real lo-fi production over here. But
bro.
during the pandemic, I had like 5,000 or 6,000 regular listeners. I had this, just after 2 months. I just don't think, like, Christian's got conversations with Christian, but that's like a lot of guys who are like really, really, I don't want to say established. You're established too.
Well, no, but we gully, man. Me is I'm in the trenches, and you know what? I like being in the trenches because it allows me. You know, I'm a Taoist, so I see it as like a long journey. You know. And now,
well, you've already done a lot of super heavy shit.
Yeah, but now I'm trying to like do my own thing as a leader, and I'm also trying to like expand musically. Like I was doing so much straight ahead before, and you know, I grew up in Jamaica, and after I moved from Jamaica to the U.S., I got right into jazz.
Yeah.
So there's so much music that I didn't get to know, like growing up. Like most, you know, it's something that I've envied. You know, a lot of people that are from America is that they grew up listening to the Beatles. They grew up listening to the Rolling Stones. You know, all of these different bands that
There's
now
a
I'm falling
lot of
in love
jazz
with.
guys discover that shit late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's, you know, I wasn't hearing that shit in Jamaica. I was hearing skin out, gal,
Yeah.
you know, all of that bullshit. You know,
So we should tell people a little bit about. Okay, so you're born in Jamaica.
yeah.
And when did you move? You moved to Miami when you were
2007. So I was
Okay.
13. Yeah.
Okay. So
And-
what was early musical life in Jamaica like?
Bro, I wasn't a musician in Jamaica, really. I mean, I took like some piano lessons and like I, you know, did like basic African hand drums and stuff. But I was a child actor like you.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
remember that? Oh
Yeah, come on, Blue's Clues, man.
yeah, Blue's Clues. That's IMDb me, bro. I'm up there.
Not IMDb.
That's what I used to do to try and like pick up girls. I'd be like, I used to be on Blue's Clues.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I love Blue's Clues. Oh my God.
No, it was great. It was a great experience. You know who was the voice of the grandfather clock? Was the original bass player for the Roots. He passed away, I think.
Oh shit. Wow.
Hub. They called him Hub, I think was his name.
Wow.
But he was like the voice of one of the characters. It was a cool show.
God damn.
Plus, it's rhythming. Blues could do, you can too. That's like
Oh shit!
it's like literally
That's crazy.
jazz
man.
in the show. Okay, so you're there. You're in Jamaica.
Yeah, I was doing the child actor thing and like
So what
did
was
some competitions
what show was
and
that?
stuff.
Was it the Jamaican show Claffy? Do you know that show?
Oh, do I?
That's
know?
a TV show.
Yeah,
in
I
Jamaica.
know. Yeah, no, it wasn't.
so funny.
That shit's from like the 70s or the 80s or something.
They're like Claffy. It's like an insult. It's like you're
yeah,
a fucking dumbass.
Yeah. I know. that shit is so funny. But no, I was doing some shit like a lot of like ensemble poetry plays, like straight theater, like that kind of stuff. And I did a lot of competitions, so I would like do like prose and like monologues and shit.
Yeah.
But as a kid, and then once I never forget this shit, man. I was like kind of tired of it because it was very isolating. Like the like doing acting and shit. That's a very isolated lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're just like your work, while you're bringing it into like a sphere with other people, like creating a character is upon you.
Yeah.
And upon whatever your environment is, as opposed to like us, we're like going into it's a little more communal, like actors, it is communal, but it's not the same as what it is for musicians. Like this shit is literally like we are our chosen characters. We've chosen our paths, and we're just living that shit.
Yeah.
They're changing that shit all the time.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild to be an actor or actress, and you're just like have to become somebody.
Yeah, like man, think about like even like Brad Pitt, like how many characters that dude has been.
And then I heard him on Mark Maron's podcast, and he was like a total normal dude.
Well, they have to. I mean, they like to do normal things. I mean, we like to do normal things too.
Did I tell you about the party where Matisse befriended Leonardo DiCaprio? We were playing. It was my band. We were playing at that place. What's it called? It's a part of Casa Cipriani, the Social Lounge. Did you?
Oh
play?
yeah. I know
Socialista. Socialista. That's the name of it. And it's right. Yeah, so we're playing there for like one of the private events, and it's like all who's who. And it was like me, Bruce, Aruda, Vanessa Perea, and Matisse. And so Leo's there hanging, and Matisse just walks up to him and just like bums a cigarette off him. And he's like, I want to talk to you about the environment, man. And they just like, it was like 20 minutes.
Well, he probably thought he was Jack Sparrow, and he probably thought he was Johnny Depp.
He's like, wow, yeah, Johnny Depp, really?
Oh, I didn't know Johnny played piano.
So back to, okay, so you moved to Jamaica.
Yeah, so
what was the reason that your family moved, by the way?
Oh, my mom, she was getting her master's degree at FIU in Miami. But I actually knew that I wanted to start playing bass in Jamaica, like right before I left, because I was getting, I just gotta, like, you're growing up and you're like, man, I want to meet girls and I want to be around people that are cool,
Yeah.
And like acting, you just around yourself,
Yeah.
So then I walked into like this room in my high school in Jamaica, Wilmer's Boys School, and I walked in and I just saw this dude, and he was like, no shade. He was literally the same color of his bass, and that shit was black as hell. That shit was like midnight, It looked like a burnt match. And he just sat down, and this brethren just sit down, and he wasn't adept at all. Like he was, he's like a amateur bass player, like student level, but he was playing this shit, and he would just like play this low E with his thumb, and he just like do 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 do.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is that? I want to do that.
Right.
I could do that.
Yeah.
I'm dumb enough to do that shit. I could definitely do that. So then I moved to the States and get this, man. I told my mom, I want a bass. Like I want an electric bass. She went and bought me an electric guitar. And I was like, Mom, you bought me an electric guitar, man. Like
I want a bass.
I wanted a bass. And now I'm like, man, what would have happened if I would just kept that electric guitar?
You never know.
Man, and now I'm like, shit, I really wish I kept that electric guitar. I'd have more money now.
Yeah, like you might be playing at the Garden.
Yeah, no, I would have been like Gary Clark Jr.
Well, with I saw Gary Clark Jr. Jr. at the Garden, actually.
Yeah, I
for
love
Clapton.
him, man. That's bad motherfucker, man.
Yeah, but you know, man, with your talent, you could have picked up a fucking, you know, toothpick and you would have.
So then check it, man. So I basically started playing music because I lied, like all great things do.
Like how so?
So I moved to the States, and I moved to this place called Coral Springs, and it's in Broward County. And my middle school, because little backstory, in Jamaica we don't have middle school. We have like prep school or primary school, and that's like K through 6. And then you have high school, which is just like the equivalent of 7th grade to like, you know, 12th grade or something.
Right.
So it's only 2 schools, but we call that like secondary school or like, you know, high school or whatever. So I moved, and then they put me back a year. They put me like in 7th grade. And, you know, I went to this middle school, and this shit was real rough. Like, you know, like first week into school, like I met this Italian dude, oddly enough, named Leo. He's like, bro, you want to join the Bloods? It's like, okay. And then his best friend, check how dumb this shit is, man. His best friend was this Haitian cat named Clyde, and he was a Crip, but they were best friends. One was a Blood and one was a Crip. They were like literally best friends. They used to fight people together. I saw them motherfuckers like bust ass together in 7th grade, and these were like grown men in 7th grade. And like my middle school was hardcore. Like it actually was hardcore. Like people were fighting all the time.
What's the name of this middle school again?
Forest Glen Middle School.
Forest Glen. And then you went on to go to Dillard.
To Dillard,
which is like.
Yeah, but that was like an arts magnet school.
Isn't
like that's like the equivalent of like New World or LaGuardia.
Teach there?
Yeah, back in the 70s or something. And Sam Jones is from Florida too. So like a lot of there's a lot of music in Miami, it's particularly with fusion and stuff.
Right.
Like the fusion scene in Miami and
killing.
South Florida. I mean, that's where Jocko, Pat Metheny, you know, that's where the cats are. But then check it. So like I'm like, damn. Am I really gonna join the Bloods like my first week of living in America? Goddamn, you know, like, or am I gonna join the crew? Like I was fighting motherfuckers too. Like I was scrapping on the, you know, the court.
Damn, imagine that's what your image is moving to America. You're like, oh, I just
left Jamaica, but like also like, you know, when I was living in Jamaica, I lived country too. Like I was living, you know, like on a farm, you know, so with chickens and goats and dogs and all kind of bullshit, so picking like, watermelons out the ground and coconuts off the tree, like hardcore.
I moved to America and joined a gang.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, fine. And then I met these twins, and then, you know, they seemed like they were kind of normal and like cool and stuff. And they're like, hey, yo, do you play music? And I was like, yeah, I don't play no fucking music at this point. Like, I'm barely, like, don't know anything pretty much. And like, they're like, oh, just you play bass, right? And I was like, yeah, I play bass. I have never played a bass once in my life. I've imagined that I played bass. So then I show up they're like, yo, come over our house, let's jam. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, I'm like, just thinking, oh, this is some, you know, normal young black dudes. They're twins. Their names Cody and Colin Orange. They're like, here's the address. My mom starts driving me, and we get to this gated community, and all the houses are like multi-million-dollar mansions. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? We pull up to their crib, and it's this huge, sprawling fucking mansion just in this gated community. I was like, who are these kids? It turned out their fucking dad was Walter Orange, who wrote the song Brick House from the Commodores. And that was the first dude.
One of the sickest bass lines.
Yeah, like the most memorable slap bass line of all time. Like bump, 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 bump,
right.
bump.
You had no idea that.
So I had no idea. So I show
watch
up.
the levels on that.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
No, yeah.
I'm starting to get into my black voice. The shit's peaking and shit. Yeah. So then we pull up to this crib, bro, and I'm like, okay. And so they quickly realize, oh, this motherfucker, he's a pirate. Like he don't, you know.
Wow, that's funny that here, one second. That's funny that they're like, hey, you play bass? You're like, yeah, a little bit. And then you show up and it's like they're serious music.
Yeah, they're like serious musicians. Like they've they've already like played with their dad's band in the Commodores. They've already like gone on tour with their dad
Right.
and shit. They like hundreds of instruments in the house. Grammys for like the Grammy they won for 1981 Night Shift.
Yeah.
Like just casual, just like normal. And I mean, they took me in, and like Walter Orange like took me in like his third son, and it was like the most incredible shit. Cause then I learned how to play electric bass and sing and do all of this stuff. And so we had a band. And we started developing.
Wow, I want to look this cat up. Walter Orange. I don't know.
Oh no, he's thorough.
Walter Orange.
He's deep because he was a Tuskegee Airman too.
Really?
So he was like their lineage is just insane. So I'm there learning all these like funk tunes, and then from there I got into Marcus Miller, and then I was like, oh.
Did you know the Commodores released 17 full-length studio albums between 1974 and 1995?
Oh yeah, I mean it's the Commodores, bro. That's like Earth, Wind and Fire or something, bro. Like
that's an album a year, or
yeah,
damn near. Wow, this is Walter Clyde Orange.
Yeah, bro. So
that's like your first cat. That
yeah, I mean, he bought me my first bass, man. That
amazing.
Dude bought me my first electric bass, and I ended up giving it to this church. And now I'm like, man, fuck this fucking church. I want to get my bass.
Are you still playing on that D'Angelico?
Oh, the guitar?
I thought you had a bass.
No, because they discontinued the basses when I wanted to buy one. So now I'm playing a Fender Meteora, and it's the only bass
I've got a D'Angelico bass I can give you. We'll talk afterwards.
Oh.
Because I was, well, hopefully you guys are cool with that. I was with them for a second before they stopped doing the basses.
Oh yeah.
And I had a couple, and I have this one that have out of my family's place, and my little sister's not using it. It looks cool as shit. It's like placid white with a black pick guard. It sounds great.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'll bring it up.
Send it my way, man.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
I had a Marcus Miller that I bought from Andreas Svensson. He had the Marcus Miller.
Funky Svensson.
Yo, he plays good bass. It's funny. All the drummers is like Kimmel. Kimmel plays. I heard Kimmel play
Charles
bass.
Gould plays good bass too.
Yeah, Dana Hawkins is like a real bass.
I mean,
player.
he's a real bass player though.
Yeah.
Like that dude can go empty.
He'll
a
like
show
cut
for
us
like
on like some
He'll like good like on some church shit. Like no. I mean, but yeah.
So Walter Orange. So
he just gifted me this bass.
How old are you at this point?
I'm like 13.
Yeah.
13, 14. And it was like the craziest year. Because then I was like, man, what even is life? I was just living in Jamaica, just like twiddling my thumbs, like reading lines.
Dude, you're
like,
all primed to be the next Jocko. You're like in Miami playing electric bass.
Oh man. But then check it. So then like I'm really geared up to play electric bass, and I'm excited about this shit and doing it, learning how to sing and play electric bass and learning about chords and notes and shit. And then I went to go audition at Dillard, and they're like, oh yeah, you see that thing right there? You're gonna have to put that shit down, because you're going to have to play this one.
The big one.
The big one.
That's what they always do.
And I was just like, okay, great. Because, truth be told, my cousin, Romero Mendez.
Oh, I forgot. Romero's your cousin.
Is an upright player. And
he's
the first time I ever...
Great upright bass player.
Yeah, he plays Christy the Shield, plays all Warren Wolf, all kind of people out in DMV.
Yeah.
Just saw him last weekend, too. And he's maybe 7 years my senior. So like he was 17 and I was 10, and I saw him walk, and he back then, I mean, he just looked so cool. He had this old K bass, and my whole family has bass players. So his dad, his stepdad is a bass player as well, like an incredible funk church bass player. Named Charles Wilson, and then my grandfather played some bass back in Jamaica.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, like very, very amateur
bass?
level. No, upright bass. Like,
yeah.
But like in the 50s in Jamaica, like
that's amazing.
Which is kind of out, like in the police band or something.
Did they have a jazz scene in Jamaica, like back then?
No, not really. It's more like ska or like rock steady, and then that evolved into reggae.
But now there's probably a couple cats there, right?
There's jazz musicians down there, but there's not really a heavy jazz scene, because Jamaica is a very, like, you have to imagine that, like, if your whole economy is based on tourism, then like, New York, as much as there is tourism, this is a community of millions of people from around the world.
Right.
So like this is more of an arts culture. Like everybody in New York is pretty much an artist,
Right.
On some level, whether they're a rapper or like a painter or whatever. So like, but in Jamaica, it's different because like there is a heavy art scene. So much so that it's incorporated in the curriculum and all this shit. So like, you think about like every person in Jamaica is like an artist. So there's not really that need to have a scene for like people to go out and hear music.
Right.
You may go see a hotel band. You may go see like like some like amateur reggae band or something, but the focus out there is dancehall and skin out culture. Like that's really what Jamaica is all about, because the atmosphere of Jamaica is just it's not the same in terms of like how we go out to jazz clubs and go out and hear shows every night. Like Jamaica, it's like we have this, so why would we why do we need this as much as we do? Like
right.
we already have it. Like we're doing this anyway.
Yeah.
But there is a guy that is like still very adamant about like bringing jazz and bringing experimental music down to Jamaica. I think he brought Buster down there and brought David Murray. His name is Herbie Miller, and he's one of my mentors.
Nice.
Love Herbie Miller. He used to live in New York. He was Peter Tosh's manager for 10 years.
Wow.
So he's a really big deal.
Well,
and
so he's entrenched in like reggae and jazz.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a music like he's just like literally an almanac, and but his specialty was avant-garde jazz. So he like you walk in his house and you'll just hear Ornette, or you'll hear and that's the funny thing about Jamaica. There's a big avant-garde scene out there. Like in terms of avant-garde art, like my aunt, she's like a professor of the biggest university out there.
Oh shit.
For avant-garde art. So like there's a heavy avant-garde culture out there. And in Jamaica, like when I was growing up there, it was the focus like the sub communities and like the social scene in Jamaica is so different. It's so much more nuanced and like refined and shit than New York is just everybody's an artist and everybody just skinning out. But in Jamaica, if you're an artist, it's like you're of the highest echelon of people so like there's not as much of a connection sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, so then pick up the upright bass, and it was murder because like the string of course it's a student.
Plus in
bass.
Miami too.
Yeah,
It's
with the weather.
I think that's why Jocko stopped playing electric. They said he woke up one day and his upright was just like in a pile, like it fell into itself. It just collapsed, and he said that's why he started playing upright. And then he made it fretless. It's kind of deep, actually. It's in the documentary. Whoa. But anyway, just like Miami, every time I go to Miami, it's shitty basses. They just get destroyed by the weather.
Yeah, I mean Dion had the best bass. That bass was just.
Was that the one where he was at that private event?
And he fell on.
I heard
on top
about that
of
before I even met him through my buddy, through
fence.
Jason. Somebody jumped over a fence, and if you can't see, for the listeners, we're talking to our man Connor, who's the tech here, another bass player, and they jumped over the fence, and they landed right on. This kid landed right on like a. $50,000 bass. Something
just
crazy.
The most gorgeous. Oh man!
Shout out Dion Kerr.
Woo! Rad boy DD.
Yeah, rad boy. Yes, it was in Miami. Yeah,
bruh. So, oh my god. Man.
So you're playing upright and like, but you must have been pretty adept pretty quick, bro.
The first like 3 months was very difficult, and I also like shout outs to James Suter, because James Suter. I don't know if you know James.
No.
But James Suter was going to Dillard while I was there, and he sold me my first upright. It was not the greatest bass, but it got me through all of high school.
Yeah.
And James, like, because he was very much into like Scott LaFaro or Larry Grenadier,
right.
The great white hopes of the bass, like, so he was really.
You said that, not me.
Hey man, listen, man. You're lucky there's no rum in here. I'd be saying way, but I'm being pretty PC.
It's 4:00. Yeah, you walked in. You're like, any beers in here? I was like, not this time, Russ.
I'm like, man, it's summertime, baby.
No,
but bro, so So James, I would, and James used to chew me out. He'd be like, "Bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not playing anything.
Yeah.
You're not like your intonation like so." But like it wasn't like he was mean. He was just brutally honest.
Yeah.
And like that shit propelled me so much to want to be good.
Yeah.
That like. Shout outs to Gifton. I really actually got in the shed.
Yeah. Yo, Gifton's doing a cool thing with his podcast. I'm gonna have him on here too.
Oh, you gotta have Gifton.
Yeah.
I mean, Gifton literally is the pirate king of the Bahamas. That dude ran in the shed from the Bahamas and he's a legend. Because like now, it's like who'd have ever thought? Like something that we just say arbitrarily all the time. Oh, I'm going in the shed. I'm going in.
Yeah.
Like now, literally, cats everywhere. They're like, yeah, bro, in the shed.
Yeah.
Like, damn, like we're just shed zombies.
It's really dope. You know, he's a great pool player.
Yeah, I mean,
He
he's
plays
a
like
shark.
every night.
Yeah, he's a shark though.
Yeah.
Man. But man, like, so and the first friend that I really had at Dillard was Patrick Bartley.
Yeah.
He was the person that taught me how to read
Talk
music.
about meeting Patrick. I think people would want to.
I met Patrick. I never forget the day I met Patrick. It was June of 2008. And he looked exactly the same, just without dreadlocks. Literally was a grown man at 14 years or 15 years old. Like a full grown man, wearing a suit, had a long Fu Manchu beard, like literally was exactly the same. Played at the exact same level. Like exact same level. Same level of vocabulary. At 15. And he, me and him, we befriended each other because we were really into video games and like, and we're two brothers growing up like, in the hood and going to high school in the hood and like dealing with that shit, but also nerds and intellectuals and trying to like rise above what our surroundings are. And bro, me
Was
and Patrick,
Dillard like when you're saying in the hood? Like was Dillard in a rough?
the first month of my school there, this girl got shot and died right next to the band room. Was shot and killed by a tuba player.
In the school?
Yeah.
Inside the
Yeah,
school.
by a tuba player. She was a dancer. Her name was Amanda Collette. She got shot by this girl that I think they had a little love triangle happening, and then the tuba player was like, well, you gotta go. And she popped her right next to the vending machine.
She died?
Yeah, she died. She was only 15.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, the first day of school there, man, there were SWAT cars right outside the school. Like, before that even happened. Like, Dillard is like, there's two levels of hood. There's, like, really rough hood, and then there's, like, comical hood. Dillard was, like, comical hood, where, like, you wouldn't get jumped. Like, I never feared for my life at Dillard.
Right.
But, you'd see pregnant girls everywhere. You see 14-year-olds with a Monopoly Man tattooed on their face, like Dillard was like a jungle, and then there was like all the arts magnet students who were like, like going to school to be an actor or going to school to be an engineer.
It is an arts magnet high school.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it's a magnet school, so there's like and it's so now that I'm however long removed from it, like 11 years removed from being in high school or whatever. Like now I'm looking at, they used to call it GP kids versus magnet kids. And I'm like, man, GP, that's kind of got some racial undertones because all the GP means general population.
General pop, that's
kids.
got prison vibes.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like, man, like I used to see some scraps at that school. At both of my school, at Forest Glen. Forest Glen was rough too. Forest Glen was pretty rough, like because Florida is like South Florida is very akin to LA.
Yeah,
it's very akin to LA. Almost like the gang culture is very akin, and the like other shit like the Mexican, like it's just Mexicans versus Cubans. Like you got Cubans on the West Coast, on the East Coast, and Mexicans on the West. So it's very akin in that way, and it's same climate, same amount of driving, same amount. It's very very similar. But man, bro, like being at Dillard was a trip because it was just so comical. Everything about being there was so funny.
Right.
Because you would like literally see the nerdiest kid wearing some like a full anime cosplay costume. Like full Naruto, like full cosplay. I'm pretty sure Patrick was wearing full cosplay.
Yeah, I was about to say,
some of those
I was gonna crack it.
like, oh yeah, no, like I'm pretty sure he like walked into school with a katana at one point, like katana and the clarinet, like you know, like
that guy plays every wind instrument. Like
he played better trumpet than most people. Don't even know how.
Really,
bro, we almost got Patrick to play the trumpet solo on Portrait of Louis Armstrong for essentially Ellington tape. Because he would, and he sounded like Freddie Hubbard. Because he wasn't like an adept trumpet player in terms of technique and tone and stuff. But he had all that language, and like he understands how breath works and how air works. And he would like pick up the trumpet. He'd be like, and he would sound like Freddie Hubbard. And he got them big ass fingers and shit. And he'd just be flapping them motherfuckers on them valves and shit. And it would be incredible to watch because it's like. He's playing better trumpet than everybody that's in the trumpet section.
He's one of the scariest musicians I've ever met. In terms of just like ability to do anything.
Definitely one. You know what? Patrick is like he really is what he is. He really is like a samurai out here. Cause he's somebody that has always struck me as somebody that like is on a deeper quest for something that we can't even, me and you were like, we're bass players, so we're connected to the earth. We're like, all right, this is what reality is. This is what you sound like. This is what you sound like. This is how much I need to get paid. This is how much my rent is. Like, bass players are very pragmatic, but also very...
we should stop and touch on that for a second. I think that's really rooted to the job.
Yeah, but also bass players are the weirdest people in the band. Usually. Like, Entwistle, you see that motherfucker? He's wearing like full French costume and not moving the whole time. And he's just playing there. Mono Neon, that's a very idiosyncratic person.
Yeah,
most bass players are very, very, very transidiomatic.
You're talking about bass players that are like really exceptional personalities. Like there are a lot of bass players who are like 9 to 5. Like this is my job.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole army of bass players.
Yeah, like I mean, tons. But even those ones, somebody you think about like a workhorse, like a John Michel, like John Michel is very idiomatic. Like he has a very particular thing. Like he is a cat. Like he has like you could paint him in a picture. Like I could paint John Michel in a picture. I could paint Bernice in a picture. I could paint you in a like bass players have this thing, man. It's like because we have to study harmony and we have to study rhythm at the highest extent of it because that's literally what our job entails.
Yeah, we literally have to.
Yeah, we literally have to be, something that doesn't really exist outside of what our profession is. Like we have to be a drum and we have to be a piano and a guitar at the same time.
Yeah, it's totally true.
And it's kind of like out if you really think about it, because a drum just gets to be a drum and a piano just kind of gets to be a piano.
No, the job of the bass, especially in jazz music, is wild.
Man. And so I really think that like bass players, like they're in tune with some other shit.
That's why the vibe. I think one of the reasons the vibe is generally very good between bass players on a professional level is like it's so fucking hard. The instrument is so fucking hard that it humbles you like crazy.
Oh, it will. Yeah,
it's gonna
always win.
It'll win every time. Shit. And then also like the schedule that you learn to adapt if you really become like a working bass player, which we all have busier times than others. It's really like you have empathy for other guys that are doing it. Like Yasushi and Lucas, like before we were even working, those dudes were just like watching them right above us, like doing all this shit, the schedules they were keeping, it's nuts.
Yeah, no, that's another lifestyle, man. Because the other thing I realized with bass players is that like they will literally get thrown into any situation. And you can't really say that about like, because for example, if you got a drummer that only played country and western, that's what he's gonna do. Like he's not really gonna go out and like play other gigs. Yeah. But like you get a guy like Tony Sher. Tony Sher is gonna play jazz and he's gonna play country and he's gonna play indie and he's gonna play. Player. He's an amazing bass player.
He's playing tonight actually somewhere.
Is he playing with Dobbs?
He's playing with what's his name?
Kenny Wilson.
Bill Dobro.
Bill Dobro.
Cool, he's playing with him at the Roxy. And,
dope.
And I just hadn't heard about Tony Sher in a long time, but he's played with a lot of people.
Tony Sher is coming
But you
for
would
that
do
ass.
that's the thing. The drummers, the rhythm section guys that are like bass players in the way that they can like adapt in any way. Those guys, you know, like Eric Harland, like he can do anything.
Yeah, well, that's
he's
that's
just
the
gonna,
beauty
like-
of jazz, though.
Yeah.
Jazz has taught us like, if you want to eat, you will do what you got to do to eat.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
and that's just jazz for that ass. Like, it will come for that ass and be like, oh, you want to eat? Here's how you eat.
Yeah.
You know, you got to play this wedding. You got to play this burlesque gig. You got to play this straight ahead gig with a drummer that has never listened to Arthur Taylor or Kenny Washington or
I know
Louis
all about
Hayes
that.
and has no idea and is playing match grip and all of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's just that's what we get all the time, man. And it's kind of, you know, it's clear to me now that, like, as we develop and get older as bass players, we gotta just kind of stay open, you know, because so many musicians, not just talking about bass players, but musicians have lost that level of openness that they have towards music, because, you know, why would you do some shit that you don't really like?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to play the shit that I don't like so that I can like it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's important, because
Well, that's like everything when you're studying anything. It's like, here, I gotta fix this. This thing's moving around. Like, okay, how many bass players that people were like, teachers were like, you really need to listen to this guy, and you'd be like, really resistant.
oh yeah.
And then you learned that they eventually wind up being your favorite cat.
Oh man, I mean, well, it's tricky because on the bass, like, usually we all kind of agree. There's a general consensus that we all like most of the people that are listened to, even the people that are like kind of more obscure, like a John or Ahmed Abdul Malik or
Yeah.
something. Like, even those people were still like, yeah, that's the shit. Like,
Yeah.
bass is weird like that. Like,
What are those qualities
What do you mean?
that like make that? Because you're right. There's like bass players really enjoy this consensus about there's like a certain group of people, but they could even be obscure, like you're saying. But what are the qualities that really?
I mean, it's just that ass. It's just ass. It's all ass. It's all ass. That's all it is. You gotta be an ass, like a big old fucking ass. That's just, you know, hey, it's me, you know.
Dude, I'm just gonna have a super cut on Instagram of you being like ass.
Ass.
All ass.
It's just that ass. You just need the bozongo. You need the bottom.
Yeah.
It is literally called the bass. It's not called the alto. It's
Yeah.
called the bass. It's not called the baritone. It's called the bass. You know, so you it's all about
Bass players are pretty open. Like there's definitely all those guys that are like the best supporting artists, like that play the best underneath other people. But then there are other dudes that are like master soloists, and we do all kind of like, you know, you come along and you're like, damn, like, I don't know, who's an example? Like,
I mean, like Eddie Gomez, like, or
but he's
Stanley
also
Clarke.
like from the
But
old school.
Yeah,
of like,
but he's like, you hear him playing on gut strings with Bill Evans, and like, man, he sounds fucking incredible. I mean, but you know
Well,
what?
that's
My
like
ear has
LaFaro.
changed though. LaFaro, you hear LaFaro thumping with Philly Joe Jones.
yeah, and like Hampton Hawes and shit. It's like,
Oh my God, he has a beat for day. He has more beat than most motherfuckers now. Like,
yeah,
or N-Hop. I mean, but Gary Peacock, like people that get typecast as
Yeah.
like the great white hopes of the bass, like people don't realize, but they coming for that. They playing that ass. They are playing that ass.
Yeah.
And it's only because we hear them in a context where they're playing music that is more sparse or open or entails a different voice from the bass, like
Right.
of a different register. But man, I think almost every bass player loves that ass.
it's funny how we always. That's always the parallel. We're like, man, it sounds like he's chopping down a fucking tree. Like somebody who's really got a hardy
Like that
sound.
hard, like that raw sound. Yeah, that just oaky, like McBride and
Dude,
like
Ben Street.
Well, Ben Street is crazy because Ben Street has so much of that Butch Warren type shit that I love. That
Yeah.
just like monk sounding bass where he's playing gut strings and it's high and he's probably changes strings and like like 10 years or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
You know, like that shit that I love. That's honestly why I stopped playing steel, because I was like, I want my shit to sound like just that ass.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm getting more towards that too. I'm trying to find. I mean, I miss the Garbos being around because it was just the perfect
perfect.
I'm back.
The only thing was with the bow, like sometimes
Zero
with the bow,
chance.
And you know, if you were seeing somebody, they had to be very cool with you having green fingers.
Yeah, that's right.
Cause my shit was. I remember I played the Animals for like a year in high school.
Yeah.
And like my hands were just always green.
Yeah.
Like always. I was just like,
I remember
man.
getting those strings in high school and being like, "Oh, Revis plays these strings."
Oh yeah,
so cool.
That's why we all watched that live at Bim House video, and I would see, man. I actually talk about that because that was when I knew I wanted to play the bass. That moment when I started watching Eric Revis and Christian McBride and Bob Hurst, like I never forget. It was back in the winter of 2000. I want to say 2009, maybe 2008, 2009. But yeah, it was the winter. And it was right when I just started playing the bass, and my band director was chewing me out. He's like, "You don't got no tone, man. You don't got, you don't got no facility. You need to work on your technique. You don't got no harmony." All of this stuff, and and we're just playing in a mellow tone or some shit. And I never forget. Shout outs again to Gifton in the Shed. Me and my mom, when we first moved to the States, it was kind of rough because, we were just starting from scratch. So, like, there would be moments where we didn't have cable or internet or even, like, and the shit was it wasn't the worst it could have been, but it was like, oh, like, I got to figure this shit out.
Yeah, it's rough.
And never forget, I went to the library and I stole a bunch of shit. I just, like, took all this shit and never returned it. And I was just like... It was Compass, Joshua Redman's Compass record.
Oh yeah. I've never listened to that actually.
Oh man, bro, that record has a lot of people on it, man. Like McBride's on it, Hutch is on it. I think Eric Harlan's on it. One of his greatest albums. I love that record, and I actually was recommended that record from this guy James Suter,
right?
Who ended up playing with Gabe Med and Mike Pilot and Sam Yolsman.
Oh, nice.
And Dan Andrews.
Sam Yulesman.
Yeah.
He's in the Stamps.
Yeah, he was the first Stamps bass player.
Yeah.
And I never forget, James got this Czech bass. It was like a dark red, like oxblood colored bass, and he would never let me play his bass.
Really?
Yeah, because at that point, I was like, just manhandle. I was just trying to get notes out. I wasn't thinking, oh, here's Samandal, here's how you. But I think the thing that helped me was like, once I signed up for Florida Youth Orchestra, and like I was playing orchestral bass, I was playing jazz bass kind of simultaneously, then it hooked everything up because then I was able to understand how the instrument actually worked and like how gravity works and like physics of the bass is, really was, and man, I stole all this shit and I never forget, I was watching this Eric Revis, man, live at Bim House, that Love Supreme, and he's wearing that white shirt.
Yeah.
And he just looks like the most manly man you've ever seen, like a boxer. He just looks like that guy that would just like Jason Statham of the bass or some shit. Yeah. And I just never, and it helped me because like, especially growing up, with a single mom and shit, like to see somebody that like represented for me what a man is out here, and like it's such a like like Eric Revis still like is that kind of figure to me. Like he'll never
kind of
not
looks
be,
exactly the same.
Yeah, he takes good. He's such an intelligent human being. And he like takes care of himself, and he's a master musician. Yeah, people, motherfuckers, just like Larry Grenadier, they never gave the right flowers to Eric Revis, man. Yeah. Still to this day, like Garbo's that high off the fingerboard, playing, oh, bro.
Dude, and when you stand next to him, his sound is just ridiculous.
Oh man, and also like he really plays the bass. He plays no cliches. He's like, you can't really say that about a lot of musicians. I got cliches in my shit.
Shit, me too.
Everybody got cliches in their shit. Ron Carter has cliches in his shit. Sorry. Like McBride, but something about Eric.
You're gonna hear on the podcast and be like, beep.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But Revis, I have never heard somebody play the bass like that. Like one of the most unique, really, really unique bass players, because first you hear him soloing and it's all melody. It's no fluff, and it's no like, nothing that is codified in the music like what we think. Like, none of that shit. And then you hear him walking, and it just sounds like a demon from hell. Like and he looks like a demon from hell.
And it's like every solo idea is like he's singing every solo idea.
Yeah,
it's so well thought out.
So well thought out. And you know what? He was the first bass player that I met in New York when I started coming to New York to do gigs with Tony Madruga that really gave me love. Like, he really gave me lots of love, and like I never forgot that, man. Like, so much love, and I felt it because, man, like, for young black men, that getting into jazz, it is the only hope that we have sometimes, And I know that it was that way for Patrick Bartley. Most of the cats at Dillard, whether it's Anthony Hervey, Rashawn Salam, you name it.
Damn, a lot of cats went to Dillard,
bruh. So many. Sam Gellerstein went to Dillard, man.
Oh,
Sam
what?
Gellerstein was on the varsity football team his first year at Dillard. And this dude I never forget when I met Sam. He had no beard at that point. He had this long red hair, like bleached out red hair. Like, he looked crazy, bro.
Whoa.
And he was same size. He's just like the behemoth, bro. And he was on the varsity football team and playing bass bone in the big band. And me and him were like brothers from the get-go.
I know, that's the first thing he said when I met him in Philly.
Yeah, no, that like instantly, because he's, first of all, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met.
Yeah,
in my
he's
life.
really smart.
Really intelligent, a business genius. Like how he figured
Snack
out.
Time.
Yeah, how he figured out. Like, Snack Time is pretty much like the snarky puppy of Philly.
Yeah, they're like Hudson Horns too.
Yeah,
like,
Hudson Horns, like
they
Lucky
figured out
Chops
a way
and
to
all
like
that shit.
take a street brass band and like adapt it for modern times of music, and then also like work private events with it, and like it's amazing.
Yeah, and they just did something with Eric Andre. I mean,
yeah, they did do something with Eric Andre.
Max Boyko went to Dillard, bro. Max Boyko, yo.
He's fucking amazing too.
Yeah, well, Max Boyko, see, like, if you knew how close I was to all of these people, and that's what's so funny to me is that, these are all cats on the scene now. But, like, man, like, I used to do my laundry with Patrick Bartley. Like, Patrick would stay at my house for a week, and we'd just be eating a bag of chips and playing Tekken 6. And he'd get mad and throw the controller at the TV. Or, like, we'd be listening to the, like, Olatunji concert from Train. Yeah. And my mom would turn it, like, plug out the power because she hated Late Train. She said that it sounded like a donkey strangling a cat, and Patrick got upset at my mom, and like that's how close we were. Right. Like, it was another level, man. Like, Max Boyko, like, smoking me out for the first time in my life, having me question life and shit, like look in my fucking mirror, and then we just go play Olio and this, like this, it was a real, like, it was like that Harmony Korine film, Kids, It's like that. Like, it was just like, just any mischief we could get into, we were just getting into. We were just crazy, like rabid dogs. And then there was a shift when I moved to Miami, because at one point me and my mom moved to Miami because she got married. Yeah. And then we lived in Miami in this beautiful home with her ex-husband and stuff, and like, it was just amazing. And he loved the music too. So me and him really bonded because, like, he was a musician and recording kind of guy, and he just like, me and him were like a match made in heaven, because he was like, yeah, let's buy all this equipment and let's record. Let's do all this shit. He bought drums. Like, he would go see Eric Harlan play and then buy all of Eric Harlan's, like, setup. Like, he was like that kind of dude that was just so into the music. And like, just wanted to be around it all the time. And me and him would like hang out until 3 a.m. And like, so it was a really beautiful time living in Miami, man, because it was just music constantly. I never had a girlfriend. I didn't go to my prom. I was just obsessed with music. Obsessed. Yeah. Just always, just
that's the common thread that I find with anybody who's successful in New York in music.
Well, I think there needs to be a balance too, because
later. But when you're in high school and
when
shit,
you're in high school, that's the time to practice. Like, if you're not, because it's like, once you get to adult life, man, like, you'll be married and have kids and like have a house and
You really have, when you get older, I mean, not that we're old or anything, but we're like, when...
I mean, we're
once you're past your 20s, it's like you making the time to practice is like...
Yeah. Well, now it's funny. Now I just like, I'm constantly practicing. Like if I can't practice at least once a day, I just like, I feel like I'm going crazy.
Yeah, me too.
Actually. Like, and now I realize how much bullshit was in my practice regimen. So now all I do is practice long tones. I don't even use my left hand. I just be sitting in front of the mirror, just like with that low A, BPM at 42, just trying to get that. Because also, dude, gut strings are the most unforgiving thing ever. So if you're like trying to play arco or trying to play in tune on gut strings and you haven't practiced, that ass will be toe apart. Cause bruh, like, man, I'll be playing, like I'll be trying to play some shit on the bow and it'll be whispering Willie and shit. I'll be like, what the fuck, So now it's just all long tones, like a trumpet player. I'm just like this all day.
Yeah,
all day.
It gives you a certain sort of like centeredness too.
Yeah, and
the
I feel like it
realigns
realigns your shit. Yeah, it just realigns your perception of this shit too. And like, but long tones, like, I mean, scales, all of that, you learn that naturally. And the one thing I do wish I really learned while I was in high school, and I think it would have propelled me even further, was like, I really wish I would have sat down at the piano way more than I did.
Yeah.
Because if I would have learned some piano while I was in high school as well and really got the harmony together back then, more than like harmony from the bass through transcription and
which is a whole other cool thing, but like
like knowing how music works, like the only way to really know how music works is to play piano. That's the only way.
Even all the great guitar players play piano.
Yeah, you got to know how to play, because it's like just seeing it, like it's seeing how it unfolds.
Seeing it, exactly.
Yeah, like guitar and bass is different. It's like more of a matrix of how music
exactly.
works.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
But man, yeah, I really wish I would have sat down with the piano, man, in high school, because it would have really changed the game more for me, and it would have just made a lot of things easier. Like I really struggled with the piano when I first got to New York, cause like, play bass, like I don't play piano, and like,
Yeah, but you always had I remember seeing you play at the garage, like one of the first weeks you moved here with Ken Fowler. You were in a full suit.
Fowles.
Yeah, playing like 12 to 4 at the garage or whatever. And your natural ability to construct lines, you've always had that.
Well, that came because like I really love Ron Carter and Christian McBride, and their harmony is impeccable.
Yeah.
Like,
which is really, Christian is coming out of all the great bass players, but it's such a direct line to Ray in a way that, like...
Yeah, and Ray plays that ornery harmony where it's this is the harmony of the song.
It's so beautiful.
Ron is like a... Like, Ron is... That's why I call him the Sorcerer Supreme.
You better call him Mr. Carter if he's listening.
Oh, yeah. I apologize. That's why I call him Sensei Supreme. I don't even call him by his name. I just say Sensei Master Supreme of the Galaxy.
That's good.
But that's really what it is. Like, you walk into that house, and it's like literally seeing Doctor Strange unfold the universe, like the multiverse or something.
It's amazing.
Like, and that's the thing with Professor Carter, is just like, he has the key to the multiverse. Like, he knows every possible way to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Like, flawlessly. And also, like, has that almost akin to like a Frank Sinatra or Tony Bennett, that immediacy of his command of the room. Like, that's something that I notice about like certain musicians, like, and even separate from Train. Like, I feel like if Train walked in this room right now, it would be a very ordinary thing, because Train had a very like kind of introverted kind of personality and was very focused on like something else. But if Professor Carter walks in the room, it's like the king just walked, like the Pope or something just walked in.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of thing that they have. But yeah, I mean, and that was the first jazz concert I ever saw. Was Ron Carter.
Where was that?
It was at the Miniachi Center in Davie, Florida? Yeah, it was in Davie at Nova University. And it was, I never forget this concert. It was on Valentine's Day of 2009. Yeah, it was Valentine's Day of 2009. And man, he wore and it's Florida. He was wearing a full tuxedo. He might not even been wearing a cummerbund. I don't know. But
Amazing.
he was wearing this full tuxedo. Played My Funny Valentine. And I never forget it. And there's a picture. I still got it. I'll send it to you. There's a picture in my phone. Because at that point, I didn't, I'm a kid from Jamaica with braces and shit.
Yeah.
Like, so. And my culture in Jamaica is like we grab you before we even know you. Like, we'll grab you and give you a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
And, like, love you up. Professor Carter, it's Professor Carter. He lays down the law. And he will do that once he gets to know you. But, like, I walked up to him and I just grabbed him. And he was like, I love you, Mr. Carter. Let's take a picture. And there's a picture and he's just standing there looking so unamused. And I'm there in like an oversized black suit, just like just cheesing as hard as I can, right? Yeah, just like so pumped. And it's the funniest picture, man. Funniest picture of all time. And I mean, that's it. So one of the first things you asked was about the jazz tattoos. So the first one I got is Willie the Lion Smith, and that was designed by Cecile. And I asked Cecile back in, 2015. She was in the airport with Paul Sakivi. And I just was like, can you make me a drawing of Willie the Lion Smith? I want to get a tattoo of him. And she just did it on a napkin and just sent me the picture of it. And then I got the picture, I screenshot it and then just got it tattooed.
Wow.
So that's the first Cecile tattoo I think ever gotten.
Somebody else got one, right?
Yeah, that girl Marley Howard, the singer.
Oh yeah.
But she has the album cover from For One to Love.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which also shout outs that record.
Yeah,
that record changed my life. That's a songwriting miracle right there.
Yeah,
that record,
Cecile's shit is so badass. We went to New School together.
I know.
So I'm gonna try and get her on here. I think Sullivan's gonna come do it, but
and then I have the Monk, and then I have so for young bass players or any bass player really, because we're all young until we dead. So they're my favorite, like Desert Island. Like I don't really have like a top 5. I only have a top 1, and it's the Lesser Young Trio record. Like I literally listen to that record.
The one without bass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for every bass player out there,
play along with that.
It's literally like better than any Aebersold ever created, because you're getting to play with Buddy Rich and Nat King Cole and Leslie Young.
Yeah.
And
it's
like,
a great play along record, yeah.
And I literally, it's my bread and butter, and it prepares you for any gig because they're playing modern. It's like that weird like crux between like the swing era and the bebop era. So they're like experimenting with harmony, but they're also still playing with that swing era beat that's like just pumping. So like it first of all hooks up your beat. They're playing ballads, they're playing blueses, they're playing, obscure tunes. So it changed that record changed my life. Like the still to this day, if I had to choose one record of all the music that's ever come out, it would be that one. Because, man, like, just the way they're playing on that record is just, it's unprecedented. So I have that record tattooed on my leg. And, yeah, Leslie Young. I think Leslie Young's like my biggest musical influence.
Yeah, you've talked about him a lot.
Yeah, because, I think something, because we all get like this understanding of like the aesthetic and the mythos of jazz and what that means. And I think he really encapsulates it, because like you go to Miles and you see he kind of is the jazz music, the paramount. But there's something about the fact that Lester one had his own vernacular, spoke in so many codes that we wouldn't even be able to decipher.
Complete own language. Yeah.
All of that was in the music. He basically created bebop. Because he was the first cat to really understand how half steps really work, and to utilize them on a regular basis. And then on top of that, you think like this dude died at 49 and like was the tenor player that influenced John Coltrane, Dexter Gordon, Hank Mobley. I mean, everybody pretty much. Like, so for me...
You're saying he died at the age of 49?
Yeah, he died at the age of 49.
But it was probably 1950...
He died in 59.
59?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, man, like... Yeah, and then so the next of the jazz tattoo series that I'm getting Ron Carter on the other side. You know that classic insignia he has on the tailpiece of his bass.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting that right here, and then I'm getting Billie Holiday and Louis Armstrong on my neck.
Dude, you're going for it.
And I'm getting Fat Swallow on my ass.
So before we, that's the perfect place to wrap up. Do you have anything you want to?
You got to wrap up on the ass.
You got to wrap up on the ass. Do you have anything that you want to plug? You're playing Smalls regularly, right?
Yeah, I'm playing Smalls tonight with my band. I don't really have anything I want to plug, but like what I've been doing recently now, I've been like just delving into like grunge world, and like you know I've been obsessed with grunge, like for the past 2 years or something, and I'm like trying to figure out, but you know how this thing is, because like all the cats that we love, like Brad Melda and Kurt, like they're grunge musicians and jazz musicians, that, but they really capture what that shit is. And something about grunge to me is really what the New York jazz scene is. Like if you go to Smalls, even in the style of dress, in the way that like it changed from like people like wearing suits all the time to now you may wear a blazer and like half wrinkled shirt.
Kind of changed a lot like through the 90s.
Yeah, and it just kind of has turned into what our culture kind of is like this authentic, beautiful songwriting thing where like people are so down to earth, but at the same time they're like willing to go to whatever ends to make music. So I came out with a single called Eye in the Sky back in July, because now we're in August.
Right.
And it has Mike Troy and Esteban Castro, Leo Larrett, and Matt Lee on drums. And
nice.
I've also so check out that single. I got another single coming out with Charles Gould, and
nice.
And it's like disco grunge kind of, cause and to be honest, the other thing I would say to all young musicians and stuff, you gotta learn how to sing. Every musician gotta learn how to sing. I don't care if you think you're a good singer or not. You gotta learn how to sing, because that's how you're gonna connect to your instrument or whatever you want to do. So like now I'm like I'm trying to sing all the time on gigs, whether I sound fucked up, whether I sound good, I don't really care. I'm just trying to get to the truth, And I think and it's harder for us because we're like it's much more tactile what we do.
After a while it becomes a little more natural to sing and play bass, but it's a tough thing at first.
Yeah, but I'm more talking about singing as a teacher. Like when you're singing, when you learn how to sing, it changed the whole way I heard bass lines. Because then I was just like, oh, so all this shit I'm doing is bullshit. And like what James Jamerson is doing and Carol K, what they're doing is actually like what a bass is, like what the bass line is, Yeah. And it's not that it's all bullshit, but it changes the way you hear music, man.
Yeah, definitely.
And we stray away from that shit way too much. But I digress. I'm going in the studio on Thursday to make a debut record of my rock band.
Nice,
called
very nice.
Bessie and the Rainbow Kids.
Yep, we know about that.
Yeah, so that's coming out.
Where are you guys recording?
This place called Pyramid Studios. So we're doing that on Thursday.
Where is Pyramid?
It's in Koreatown.
Huh.
So it's like right north of Nomad. Like
I've never been there.
Just like a couple blocks north of like, the Ned and all of that shit.
Yeah, right.
And the gallery. So we're recording there. And then playing Newport this weekend with
nice.
The Louis Armstrong Now, project, which features Marquise Hill, Gift and Jelly, Bruce Harris, Bruce Lee,
Herlin Riley, right?
And Herlin.
Who's playing piano on that?
Matisse.
Oh,
Matisse
nice.
Picard. Matisse has been like my best friend since I moved to New York. We lived together, my brother in piracy.
In piracy. Matisse is my dude. He's actually. Oh, should I do a shameless plug?
Oh, well, you are Alex Claffy. You got to do a shameless plug.
Oh, come on.
And there wouldn't be your podcast if you didn't do a shameless plug.
Matisse is on
Yo,
that.
we saw your fucking record in Amoeba. That shit was
video.
Hilarious. I'm all true now. Like, listen, man. For those listening, me and Alex Claffy lived together my first year.
We lived together twice.
Twice. First, we lived in that hellhole in fucking Crown Heights where those Hasidic Jewish motherfuckers came and barged in while we were all asleep and started just showing the apartment to random people.
I do remember that, but we were probably asleep at 12 noon.
Oh yeah, I mean we were so
we had some
grody
good
at
parties
that point.
and shit.
Oh, shit was buck wild. Max Zoe was living there. Yeah,
who was that?
Max Zoe.
Oh, Max Zoe was living there.
Yeah. Oh, and Doug Mariner was.
I was living
there.
in Doug's room.
And then we lived together on 140th Street. Woo!
Good times. We had roof access, which was cool.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I don't know if they gave us roof access,
but we were up there.
We gave ourselves roof access.
Yeah, and that we definitely did. And man, that was great. And then you moved up to 141.
Yeah. Then I moved up to 141, and then now
I moved down to
139.
139. Then you moved down to 139.
And then now I live on. Yeah, and then you left. Man,
where are you now?
I'm on 118
and
5th.
Oh,
so I'm like
you're
right
not far
south
from
of
Benny and
yeah, I live right next to Benny
and Gerald Cannon
and Cannon, and yeah, I mean I'm just south of Marcus Garvey Park, and it's kind of nice because I've never lived further east before, and living east is just it's just like you get a little bit of the barrio flavors, which I know you know about.
Yeah, I used to live over there.
Yeah,
remember that? Yeah.
You get the barrio flavors, you get the classic Harlem flavor, but then you also get the Upper East Side shit.
Yeah,
because I'm only
Upper
8
East Side is
blocks
so nice
north
and
of the
quiet.
Oh, I mean, it's that is the Great White Hope over there, man, the Upper East Side. So I'm in the middle of Black Power, Great White Hope, and the El Barrio, man of the world, baby.
Well, dude, thanks so much for coming and hanging, and that's the perfect ending. That's great. Yeah, I'm digging it today. Yeah, check out Russell's on Russ Bass, probably on what are you on Instagram?
Oh, Bessie Suave. That's
Bessie?
my yeah.
I feel like you'd be changing it frequently.
Well, no, now it's done because I got the blue check and shit. I'm just
can't
tired.
get a fucking blue check. I
pay for that shit, man. I just
Musk.
No,
yeah, that's the other
X.
one.
Yeah, X.
X.
X gonna give it to you.
All right, y'all.